All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next topic.
Did you understand biological women's issue with being titled sis?
I've been listening to it, and I have decided that I'm going to remove that when I'm talking about biological women. I'm going to remove from coming from my mouth. I'm not going to remove it like from everybody else, because that's whatever everybody else has the opportunity to do whatever they want to do. But I'm going to remove that from my vocabulary talking about when I'm going to use bio or real women for me, because there's too many real important issues to be focused on than just what you being cis and this and the other. But I understand what cis means. It means on the same side of the opposite of trans.
All right, y'all. So y'all see T.S. Madison has decided to take cisgender out of her vocabulary. And I just want to say, I think that's a move in the right direction, even though I still feel like in other parts of this interview, you're continuing to use the same transphobic tactics against Just Hilarious by continuing to point out that she was confused for a trans girl, as if you're not like shading her with that assertion.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate T.S. Madison for saying that she's going to take cisgender, she's going to stop using it and just say natural born women, because in all honesty, that was my main gripe, that if we can respect you wanting to be identified as a woman and calling you she and her and those pronouns that make you feel comfortable, I don't understand why y'all can't understand the women that do not like to be called cisgendered and would prefer to identify themselves and be called biological natural born women, if that's what they want to identify as. And you should not get to tell them how to identify so that you can make room for yourself and their identity, because
And
that's
not take it as a
basically
slight.
exactly like don't take it as a slice, sis. This is just what it is. We are, we can all say there's an umbrella of femininity, but the ones of us that have this very specific experience, we can be in our little clique together amongst ourselves as well. There's always a subgroup to the group. You know what I'm saying? Just like amongst women, there are black women. Just like amongst black women, there are smart or nerdy or book ready, or you know what I'm saying? That like there's always a subgroup of whatever the group is. And the feeling of y'all not being able to take that there are subgroups is an issue, because then that feels very male to me. So I'm happy that T.S. Madison came out and kind of gave this a little more balance in a conversation, because I did feel like before this moment, it just seemed like y'all were totally ignoring what women were saying, ignoring how they felt about their own identification, about how they see themselves, only caring about how the trans women want to be identified, only caring about how they're being killed and offended in the situation, as if biological women aren't being killed and offended in the situation as well. I need to feel that people are caring on both sides. And I'm going to respect pronouns. So I also would like for y'all to respect the fact that some women do not want to be referred to as cis because of the etymology of the word, what it sounds like, and the intention behind it. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's not really a whole lot to say about the situation aside from cool. You want to change it and not use it? Great. I don't really have a whole lot else to say. It's similar to what Bondy just said. If I don't want to be referred to as cis, don't call me sis. I understand. That's the thing. Y'all be thinking we don't understand what the fuck it means. We get it. But sometimes, most of the time, it's the context in which of how y'all say it. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all trying to take a jab at us or whatever. Like, girl, not when you're transitioning over here. But understand, just say woman. It really could be that simple. We're gonna say we're gonna respect y'all. And I feel like Black women have always been, like, for the most part, allies, to that community. So it's like, why create this division or this issue that really ain't even gotta be? We respect y'all, respect us, and it's really that simple. Don't call people that don't want to be referred to as cis.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all. I do. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, the first time I heard it, it was in a negative context. And I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, that's supposed to be me. Like, what? So, yeah, I agree with y'all. I think you should respect what women want to be called.
Yeah, it's simple. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even all of that. The majority of the TERFs are white women. No, you know what? I think that's very, very interesting how y'all did that with the J.K. Rowling and all of that. I'm gonna just leave that conversation alone. Because I'm not gonna align myself with like rich Caucasian women or anything, but some of what I was understanding was that motherfuckers is just not taking what these women are saying very well, and I just kind of feel like like I don't know what y'all want me to say about it. I feel like they have every right to feel how they feel, just like
What is a turf? What's a turf?
they consider the TERFs like the white girls that are transphobic. They like J.K. Rowling back, Harry Potter was like, you can't be a woman, you can't transform to be a woman. There's no such thing. You're still a man, and I'm not going to identify you any other such way. This is giving y'all an opportunity to encroach on our spaces. You know what I'm saying? It's low key, it was low key kind of like, I'll say it like this. For instance, there's this guy out there that does a lot of conversation about detransitioning. Walsh, what's the guy named? Joe Walsh. I think that's his name, but he does a lot of content about detransitioning. And in all honesty, even though I may agree with the way he feels about the biology of the situation, there is an energy behind what he does that feels like it's not coming from a good place. It feels like it's not about really offering people help or real information. It's about trying to control what people want to do with themselves. Joel Walsh, thank you. So that's why I kind of, like I might agree with what you're saying, but I also feel like energy and intention means a lot to me. And I feel like there's a way to talk to people about how you feel without being condescending and without treating them as if they're just some crazy person that, we should just be ignoring however they're feeling about themselves and, all of that. You know what I'm saying? But yes, here they say this was a trans exclusionary radical feminist,
Oh,
meaning that
okay.
bitch, I think the
Transphobic.
fuck not. Yeah,
Got
yeah.
you.
We ain't agreeing to shit. They the white girls that was like, bitch, I think not. I can't
Wow.
speak for others, but for me, not wanting to be called sis is only that I'm not a sis. I respect what you want to be called. Please do the same. Okay. Yes, the encroaching on our spaces was right. That's why they don't like being labeled as trans women. And that's a part of the conversation. And I feel like this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. Just because T.S. Madison is not trying to come into women's spas and point her peen all over the place, there are men who are using trans identity to
Yeah.
encroach on women's spaces so that they
True.
can have access to women. And I think that's a part of the conversation that we're negating and we're not really talking about. So when women are defensive of these spaces is coming from the fact that they're not safe in spaces where penises are a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
So that's why it is a fine line, slippery slope. Everybody's trying to be respectful, but also put ourselves as women at the center, because essentially when we make space for you, we're also making space for the men that want to use your identity to get access to us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
that is very true.
Yes. And when we say y'all need y'all own spaces, that's not coming from a space of wanting to, be okay with you being hurt by men and all of that. But it's also about we have to protect ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We have to protect ourselves, So yeah, that's just our little cut and dry on the situation.